Welcome back to the Motivational Mic, the show where we dive into real stories of resilience, reinvention, and the power of purpose. I'm Jacob, and this episode is extra special as we celebrate Read Across America Week, a time dedicated to inspiring a love of reading in children across the country. And what better way to celebrate than with a storyteller whose books don't just teach children how to read, they help them understand how they feel. Joining us today is Andi Green, the extraordinary monster maker behind the beloved WorryWoo Monsters. A former art director in New York City turned author and illustrator, Andi has created a world where anxiety, loneliness, insecurity, and fear aren't pushed away. Instead, they're welcomed, explored, and understood. It's about giving children the tools to embrace their emotions early and confidently. Her work has been featured on The Today Show, in People and Parents magazines, and even brought to life on stage through the musical Woozical. Recognized by the Child Mind Institute as a top children's book pick, Andi's mission goes far beyond storytelling. During a week that reminds us of the power of books, we're diving into how stories can shape emotional resilience, spark meaningful conversations, and change lives. Let's welcome Andi Green to the mic. Hey Andi, how are you?
Hi, good to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well. How are you doing?
I am good. Are you snowed in?
I am. It's Monday. We didn't get as much as we thought. We were thinking about 12 to 18 inches, but it didn't actually end up being too much.
Really? Wait, where are you?
I'm just outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah, we got about 18 inches.
Oh, wow. Where are you guys?
We are next to New York.
Wow.
So
that area got a lot.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
That's
so
crazy.
We've just been shoveling all day.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Luckily for us, it hasn't been too bad. We probably should have been in school today.
Yeah. Well, a day off is always good.
It's always good. So, do you want to take us back to the very beginning and tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Andi Green. I write and illustrate a series of books and plush dolls, or series of books called WorryWoos. I started writing and illustrating the WorryWoos when I was about, 10, because I didn't know how to manage my own feelings. And as I got older, I just kept drawing them, keeping sketchbooks, and by the time I was in my 20s, I decided to start my own company.
That's amazing. You started this when you were 10 years old.
Yeah,
that's when you wrote your first book.
That's when I actually illustrated my first character. So for me, whenever I talk to schools or do readings, I love to talk to kids about my process because I always began, I had a lot of trouble articulating how I was feeling. So for me, drawing was like the way to articulate. So I would draw out these characters and I would give them names and personalities like the monster loneliness, and they kind of made me feel better. So I think a lot of kids and adults, we have a lot of trouble expressing those feelings. So I wanted it was a language for me. And I realized as I got older, we were struggling with that language on how to articulate our feelings. So I wanted to give kids and adults, characters with personalities that weren't threatening, characters that we could understand, like loneliness, worry, big feelings, and then write stories about them. But for me, it always begins with the drawing first and then the stories. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm a little bit backwards.
Listen, I think for kids, being able to see it is the most important part. So I don't think that's crazy at all.
Right. I'm a visual learner. So, we have...
As most kids are.
So, you'd be surprised. Some people really, everyone's a little different. So
it's true.
It's interesting.
It's true. So for your first character, was there a specific emotion that you were trying to portray behind it?
So for the very first WorryWoo character, it was Nola, the monster loneliness. I had been drawing her for some time at that point, like just this character that had been with me for a really long time. And I felt like loneliness was a word that a lot of people cringe at. They're like, oh, you're not lonely. You have a sister, you have friends. But what I always like to say to everybody, and especially when I'm in a room full of kids, you can be lonely. You can be in a room full of people and feel lonely, and it's totally normal. Like, loneliness is normal. But we need to talk about it, and we need to figure out why and what's causing this. And it's really important to me to let kids understand that these feelings are normal and natural, that there's nothing wrong with us, because I used to think there was something wrong with me for having them. So I think it's just a super important thing. And I should also note, when I began, there wasn't this huge conversation about mental health the way it is now, which I'm so happy to see. And I hope that, I was part of this in the beginnings, because when I started creating the WorryWoos, everybody was like, no way, no one's going to buy a character about loneliness. Like, it is just change your name, change the names, change the subject, and you will do great, but just no emotions. I remember just being so frustrated and so angry at the fact that even, as I was getting older, I still was getting this pushback on talking about big emotions. Like, change your stories. Wow, you can really do this, but no, we don't want to. We're not going to support this kind of language. So actually, that's why I started my own company.
And as you've gone on and as you've gotten older, I know this is kind of like a question off the bat that probably could be
You can
asked
ask a
later in the
million. I mean,
conversation.
I love questions off the bat. Go for it.
Did you really, I mean, obviously there's so many different emotions, so many different feelings. Are there some unique characters that you've came up with that exemplify unique and, let's say, unpopular feelings?
So at the time, so now it's a different
Yeah.
playing field, but at the time, yes, there were only three companies that existed like me. And loneliness people were not writing books dedicated to like a monster of loneliness or a monster of frustration, or even worry. When I discussed worry, people were like, that is too adult for children. Worry and anxiety, they were kind of like, their minds were blown. Insecurity, no way, like, come on now. And I would be like, this is normal. Like, why are we not having this conversation? And I'd be like pulling my hair out, and I just kept going. Like, it was that thing that it drove me to keep creating, because I just believe in it, and I still do. I mean, now we're almost, kind of went the other way. We initially had no conversation about it, and now we're flooded with it. But what gets me really worried is that when we're flooded with something, a lot of times it's no longer has value. Some of them, not everything. But if someone's just creating something just because it's, of the trend, it's not necessarily, the message may not be on point. So we always have to like make sure we're mindful of what's out there. And I don't know.
There's always a happy medium, and that's with everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, how did you first land on the name WorryWoo, and what does that mean to you personally?
So actually, I wanted to call the series Monsters in my head. And because they were the monsters in my head. And again, a lot of pushback. That's my company name. It's still my business name. But a lot of people were like, ooh, that's a little harsh for kids. And again, times have changed. People are a lot more, different now. We thought about softening it, and like just with like friends and family, I started being like, these are like woes, like worry and woes. And somebody like jokingly went, WorryWoos. And I was like, that's perfect. So we kind of combined it, and that's how it just kind of went from there. And I love Wonder Woman, so I was going to like WWWW. So I thought that was cute.
Do you give this person any credit for what they've helped create?
I don't know. We all sat together. My mom was there, my sister. So yeah, my mom and my sister are definitely a huge part of what I do. So I definitely give them
That's
huge credit.
amazing. I mean, it's such a unique idea, and obviously I started this podcast. Most people wouldn't think the start of a podcast like this. There's just so many things that you can do, especially at a young age. I mean, everyone, especially when you're a kid, you have these creative, unique ideas. Take advantage of them when you're young, take advantage of them early, and start building them when you're young.
100%. Everything, like you can build so much when you're younger, you don't even realize it. Like, WorryWoos, I began when I was really young and just had sketchbooks after sketchbook. And sometimes we don't realize that in that youth, there's so much room to explore. And I think that's really important, because you learn a lot from your mistakes and from your growth. And that's how you become who you are moving forward.
Why do you think it's so important that these kids learn emotional literacy early?
I think we are in an age now, especially now, where the world is spiraling in a lot of ways, and feelings are everywhere. And I think the younger we are to learn how to handle those feelings, the more confident, resilient, empathetic we'll be. And I think we need that. We need all of those characteristics for our children. And it's so important with all the feelings that we're feeling. If we don't manage them, it's just, it just becomes harder and harder to, get back up. And I think understanding a language for feelings is so important because it's all connected to our bodies and our mind.
Yeah, and obviously all humans feel emotions. It's not just adults, it's not just kids, it's everyone. So
Sure.
many adults do tend to struggle with emotions too. Have you seen your
Absolutely.
books resonate beyond children, possibly with teens or adults?
Absolutely. Actually, when I do readings for schools, a lot of times they'll bring me in to do a talk with parents at the end of the day. And I love to talk to parents about feelings because we are going through them just as much. And kids are like litmus paper, they soak up everything. And for as adults, if we don't, if we're not mindful of our own feelings as well, kids are going to mimic that. And I've had a lot of parents come up to me and be like, "Wow, don't feed the worry bug. Like that's me." Or I did a reading with Squeak and stepping outside his bubble, and parents were like crying. And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And they're like, "That's me. I'm the bubble." And a little kid went to his mom and he's like, "Mom, no, the bubble's not real. It's my bubble." And I thought that was just so cool that the kid like really got it. But like you can feel as an adult, like all these feelings that we have, and a lot of times we feel we have to push them down. And I think it's really important that parents express their feelings to their kids and explain to them, like, I'm feeling frustrated or I'm
Yeah.
feeling angry and this is why. Because then it gives kids the language, right? Like, we just hide it or we just get angry and be like, go to your room. Like, it doesn't help. You need to talk through them.
I mean, kind of what you're doing kind of reminds me of being a therapist in a way. Like coming
Well,
up
that's
with
the
this.
other thing. I actually say, like, when I'm in class, like, when I'm in school, I'm like, to teachers and to parents, like, we don't have to be therapists, but we do have to talk about our feelings, right?
Yeah,
Therapy is like the next step. Like, if we can't get our kids to regulate themselves, then it's really important. Therapy is so good. I think it's great. And I think if your kids can't regulate themselves, let's talk to someone. But first step is just seeing where we're at. Can we get our kids to talk about it? Can we get them to calm down a little bit? Right. And it is, but I try not to say therapy because then people get scared. Like nobody, a lot of teachers and parents are, don't want to be therapists and they get worried about how that's going to translate. So more like we want to be a calming corner or a place that you can express yourself. That's what I like to say.
so obviously you said you talk to parents. Obviously, nobody is perfect. Everyone has their flaws, even
Nobody's perfect.
children. So what do you think parents often misunderstand about helping their kids with the bigger feelings of life?
I think as a parent myself, I think we're very wrapped up in the world ourselves, right? And we are going through our own emotional tornadoes. And a lot of times that will translate to kids as either we're mad or angry. And a lot of times we don't regulate our own feelings. And when we don't regulate our own feelings, it definitely comes back to the kids. So I think the first step when I do parent talks, I talk about them, like where are we on the list? Like, we talk about our cup is full. We're managing all these things and we're kind of in the corner just trying to make it all happen. And we're not putting our own oxygen masks on first. We're not taking care of ourselves. And when we don't take care of ourselves, then, the whole ship goes down. So I think it's really important for adults to realize that if we can take care of our own feelings, even at the very least, just like kind of like regulate them a little bit, then our kids, will understand it a little bit better.
Yeah, the best way to help anyone else is to help yourself. Because
Absolutely.
you can't help anyone else until you're 100% dedicated and motivated to the mission.
And I think parents forget that. That's a beautiful statement that you just said. And I think a lot of adults forget that we matter, we're important, and that we need to we need to eat lunch and
Yeah.
not just like run out the door, or we need to like take a minute and breathe. So,
And obviously, in the world, the one of the more popular sayings is preparing the next generation. You can't prepare the next generation unless you're prepared yourself.
very true. Yeah. I mean, if we're just kind of like going through the motions, spiraling here and there,
Yes.
or, all the time, then our children are going to see it. And then that's how they think it should be. And I know it's not easy. That's the other thing. Like, I always love to talk to people, especially myself when I do these talks. Like, it is not easy. Like, nobody's perfect, like you said. It takes time, and if we slip up, it happens. But just like we tell our kids, like we got to give ourselves like a little grace period to calm down and then apologize for the way we acted and maybe, go move back on.
So obviously, as you've created these characters and stories, you've obviously gained so much popularity. So what was it like seeing your stories transformed into the musical, and can you explain to everyone a little bit about what that is?
So that was like 12 years
A
ago or
while ago.
more, maybe 15 years ago. Yeah. I met these amazing women. Actually, I got a letter because I should note when I began, there wasn't like social media and like there wasn't like Facebook and TikTok and all these things. It was really like people were sending snail mail and things like that. And I got a letter in the mail from two women in Alabama, and they're like, "We bought your WorryWoos at a store in Alabama, and we just love them, and we want to write a musical." And I was like, "Oh, cool, exciting, right?" And like 6 months later, they showed up in New York, and they're like, "Oh, stop by. We're doing a test run of the musical," and they're like playing this grand piano and they're singing, and I was like, "What is happening?" And it just blew my mind. Just to see these characters come to life was just a dream come true, and you know, it was fantastic. It really was, and I hope we can do it again. And actually, right now in Australia, they are considering doing it out there, and I would really love it if
Wow.
we could get the musical to happen again here because it was really cool. They did a really nice long run, and I hope they can bring it back. Maybe even animated. Who knows? You never know.
Yeah, make a TV show about it. I mean, the world's
That
so
would be like a
digital
dream,
nowadays.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea at all. Really is not a bad idea. Now I'm thinking about it. I mean,
I know, right?
there's so
I
many
actually
kids.
already I planned it all out too in my head. Like
Yeah,
I have every story about how they all get together. I'm actually working on a new book that I'm trying to finish up now about two characters together so I can kind of show these ideas of how the
yeah,
characters how, that's the other thing we should note is that like sometimes one feeling goes with another, right? Like
oh yeah.
loneliness or frustration, you can feel frustrated because you feel lonely, or worry and frustration. I mean, they all kind of intermingle. So I think that's an important thing we should note. I focused on a singular feeling because I really wanted to just hone in on it. But moving forward, I also do talk about the fact that these feelings are all kind of interconnected.
And
So,
the more you pushing them away, and the more that you don't take care of yourself mentally, obviously this is more for the adults. The more you're just gonna spiral yourself down a worse of a hole, and more
right,
of these complex emotions are gonna pop up. Like as you say, they're all intermingled.
right. And I
No
think for
matter.
kids your age as well, like,
Yeah.
I think, you must have, I mean, I think you're in high school, right?
Yeah, I'm my senior year. I'm 18.
Yeah, I mean, that is hardcore. You're going
It,
through moving to college. There's so many new things that are going to be going on. Like, it's a time where our feelings are really big. And a lot of times we feel at your age, I always felt like I had to grow up really quick, and you don't, and you should embrace every minute of this exciting time for yourself.
and I can relate to that as well. I mean, having to go through cancer at 11, 12 years old. I mean,
The
that
strength it must have
was,
taken you.
yeah. I mean, there were kids my age, and I'd see them. And obviously, I talk about this in all my other episodes as well. The maturity level, and it's not like disrespect to anyone else, but I just feel like the maturity level is so much different. The wisdom is so much different because I also was forced to grow up so early.
Right, right.
So
And look what you're
I
doing
can,
now. You're motivating other people to
yeah.
understand that strength. That's an incredible thing. I can only imagine.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been like a year and a half in the making. I started it summer of 24 with the help of my mom. I wasn't into it as much back then, but now as I've grown more of a voice and my speaking skills have gotten better, I've really taken advantage of it and what this can really be.
That's awesome. I love that. Actually, when I started the WorryWoos, I actually couldn't talk in public. So I would do like videos instead, like I was, and show them and then just stand there next to them. So what you're doing right now is like the best way. You'll just grow and grow with that. You're just going to get stronger each time you do a different podcast. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I appreciate that. If you can give one piece of advice to parents raising emotionally aware kids, what would that be?
Take your time. Like really take your time, and don't beat yourself up when things don't go exactly how you hope. we're all, like we're all screaming in our heads some days. Everybody, kids and adults. And you have to like be kind to yourself because I think we forget a lot of times how to be kind to ourselves and breathe. A lot of times I talk to parents about like how many people have like I don't think we breathe enough. Like we're constantly like holding our breath, just trying to get things done. And it's really important to take that breath, as silly as it sounds.
Life's hard. It's not easy, and that's for everyone. I mean, we all want it to be easy, but we grow from the adversity, we learn, and that's how we ultimately just grow as people. I guess I've already said that. But you have to embrace those tough challenges. You got to work through those emotions because that's ultimately what's going to help you grow as a person.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and life is tough, and I think it's harder now than ever. I think, especially for the younger generation. I mean, you guys are gonna have a tough time. So I think again, regulating those
Yeah.
feelings, centering yourself, breathing, learning all these things early on, so you can, go out there and fight the good fight. I think it's a really important trait that I think our kids, but that future generations like yourself need to do, which you're
And
doing
now,
right now.
yeah. And now with the world being so digital, I mean, we're at a time where people, especially children, feel more unconnected with each other than ever. I
It's
mean, you
crazy.
look outside on a snow day like this, how many kids are coming around asking to shovel your driveway?
None. That's why I'm shoveling it myself, but that's okay.
Listen, if I could be out there, I would, hopping on
You're
one leg.
But you're doing a great job anyway. You're doing things, you're doing even better. You're motivating everybody. And I love that because I think that what you're doing is so important, talking to people, motivation, not just having kids in front of Roblox or,
Yeah, that's
oh, it's crazy.
what I was trying to say. I mean, there's so many new emotions that can. The human brain is so complex, and I'm sure you've studied this for however long you've been doing it. When was not to try and get your age or anything, but how long ago did you start the WorryWoos?
So I started the WorryWoos about almost, I think it was like 18 years ago. So
Okay.
what's crazy is to see these kids that I would read to a long time ago and now see them now and they're all grown up
Yeah,
or get letters from them now. That's like, oh my gosh, I still have my Nola from like 12 years ago, and I'm past college and I still hang out with her or I mean, it's really, really cool.
yeah,
And but with this new digital age, that's the other thing. I can't keep up with it, right? Like
it's hard.
I began before Facebook and all these things and TikTok and everyone. I feel like it's so much harder because I love to draw, I love to write, but people are like, "Oh, you got to be online, you got to be like doing TikToks and Facebook Live," and I just want to draw and write and create, and that's not part of my process. And I think the new generations are learning that that is their process. Their process is in tandem with that.
Yeah.
So it's a different world.
What I was saying about the digital piece is that it brings up so many new emotions now. I was saying the human brain is so complex. You can really feel anything, and I think that's important. There's not just obviously there's names for sadness, loneliness, anxiety, fear, all that, but there's so much more that goes beyond that, and we really just haven't discovered that. And obviously, with how digital the world is, all these emotions are just going to continue to arise and pile up.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also, people are just going to get, as you said, further and further away from each other as they sit in on a computer instead of actually interacting with one another. We're going to lose a lot of those social skills. So I think it's really important that, we teach kids to stay off digital too. Teach them how important it is to interact, socially in public instead of just with their AI,
Yeah,
friends. It's crazy.
yeah, no, it really is. I mean, you think back, I mean, Back to the Future, when it was 2015, you were looking back into the future and they had all those hoverboards. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Back to the Future?
The second one. Yeah, I mean, I figured you have, but
With, of course. Yeah.
I mean, you
Who
think
doesn't love those movies?
exactly, exactly. You just with Michael J. Fox and everyone, they're great movies. Go watch them if you haven't. Uh,
Love them.
but you think into the future when it was 2015, it's showing you all these like hoverboards, and that was so far in the future, and now we're what are we, 11 years past that. So it really is just crazy to think about.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm from a generation that like I can't believe. I remember switching to like a mobile phone, being like, what is this thing? Oh my God. And now
That's
you see, and now you can FaceTime people. I mean, it's crazy.
Listen, I was born in 2007. That's really all I've known. I think I got an iPod Touch in first grade.
Oh my gosh.
I moved from New Jersey to Pennsylvania in third grade, so my dad stayed in New Jersey, so he let me get a phone so that I would be able to call him and text him. Probably a little earlier than most kids get a phone, but my reason was a little different.
Right.
Well, I just wanted to share that. For right now, I'm going to give you a chance to share
Wait,
one
I
of
have
your.
a quick question for you.
Oh, yeah, what's up?
You said you're right next to Philly, right? I grew up in Media. Are you near Media?
I'm in Upper Dublin.
Okay, I know where you are. But so I did the reverse. I was born in Philly, in North Philly, then Media, and then
Okay.
we moved to Jersey when I was like in high school. So I reversed.
What
Did the
part of
reverse.
Jersey?
I When I was young, we moved to Cherry Hill because we were right next to Philly, and then I moved all the way up to Jersey City and Hoboken, and I went to Rutgers. But
Yeah.
I just love Philadelphia. Actually, I think Philly is the best place
It's a
in the
great
world.
city.
It is.
Obviously, living here, being so close to it, I mean, what is it, 10 to 14 miles, I believe it is, Center City. You kind of take it for granted because it's right there, the historical sites of that city.
Oh
You
my gosh, I
really see
love
that in Utah.
Philadelphia.
But
Yeah, you got to go more. It's awesome
exactly,
there.
exactly. Yeah, there's so much there.
Okay, sorry. What was your question?
Yeah, no,
Final
I
one.
was gonna say that I was gonna give you a chance to bring up one of your characters and introduce him. So, if one WorryWoo could co-host with the Motivational Mic, take your spot right now, which one would it be and why? It's a difficult question.
It is because I think all the feelings, you know,
Or
could shift.
if you wanna bring
No,
up
but
a few.
I think I do believe that Wince, the monster of worry, is perfect because he is the one that is, for some reason, most relatable to most people because we all feel these, you know, pangs of worry. And Don't Feed the Worry Bug, the story Don't Feed the Worry Bug has definitely resonated with more people than not. I mean, that is the book that seems to really skyrocketed the worry woos to everyone really knowing who they are. And I believe him being on your show would be great because he's always worried about things and definitely like public speaking or anything in between is just he's a fun character that speaks to the depth of how when we feed our worries, the worries grow. And I think he'd be really funny with a worry bug buzzing around.
As someone who's studied emotions and thought about them and really just digested it for so long, what do you think it's important that kids do, especially nowadays, to be able to help control their emotions?
I think every kid is different. Um, I should note, I have just worked with psychiatrists and psychologists and teachers and counselors. So, but from what I've learned is it's really important that each kid um, understands that they are unique in their own way and how their feelings affect them is important for them to realize. Like everyone is different. So worry for one may not affect someone with the heart rate and the anxiety as it may affect another. So it's really important that we don't compare ourselves
Yeah,
and that the feelings that we do have when I do talk to kids, I love to tell them that it's really important that we realize we need to talk about them, that we can't hide them, that we acknowledge them, and we move forward. The process of mindfulness for kids and adults is really important. And mindfulness is just making sure that you don't let those thoughts stick, right? Those worrying thoughts, because when they start to stick, then they start to get all like melted like a marshmallow, and they don't move through our brains. So I always talk to kids about like just making sure that we let our feelings move through who we are.
that's a powerful message, and that's something I haven't really thought about. Me being 18, I haven't really thought about how the same emotions can impact people differently.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible to me that I've had some people be like, "Oh, my child doesn't worry," or "My child doesn't feel that way."
They
No,
do.
they may or may not. They do, but it's definitely like one kid could experience worry to a much higher
Yeah.
level than another. Anxiety for some of us can be triggered very easily, while others are much more, they don't have that trigger. Like, I mean, I have extreme triggers for anxiety. Like, I know it's going to happen, and I'm like, oh, I worry about everything. Well, some people are like, it'll be fine, you know. And we have to be mindful of that. Everybody's a little different. While some people are really competent and some people aren't. Like, you never know.
And I think it's important to bring up that even though that these emotions can get sparked in people differently, that in the heat of the moment, the emotions do feel the same. So you are really, I mean, maybe I'm wrong a little bit, but you can connect with people on a more personal level about emotions.
Absolutely. And I think in the moment we do feel it the same a lot of times. Like if you were to say someone who doesn't worry that much but is having a worrying thought and they're feeling those heart palpitations potentially from anxiety or they're going through it, and someone else is like, I totally go through that all the time. That conversation can really be very immersive and also just create a really strong connection.
Something I'd really like to bring up here on this podcast is that, we all have our unique lives, but in the end, in the scope of things, we really all are the same. We're all human. We all go through the same challenges. We all go through adversity. We all learn from it. And we should utilize each other more to and help each other out because I feel like it would really benefit our communities.
I agree. And it would make us all a lot stronger if we connect instead of resist that connection.
Exactly.
Definitely. Beautiful sentiment.
Yeah, thanks. So think back, and this is my last question. Think back to when you were 10 years old, you being how wise and obviously bright you are now. What conversation would you have with her, and what do you think she would be saying to you?
Well, at 10, I think she would just be crazy and running around and, oh, I don't know. But a little bit older, when maybe your age or even past that, I would say to myself, my past self who started the WorryWoo, so let's go a little bit even further than that. I would tell her not to listen to everything everybody's telling you, because a lot of people want to tell you what to do. And back in the day, I listened too much. I was like, oh yeah, I have to change this, or I have to do this, or that's not going to work. And in my heart of hearts, I wish I had just gone with my gut for certain things. And I think a lot of times our gut is, they say it's like our second brain. And go with your gut. Like, go with what you think is right. Confidence is really hard to come by for a lot of us. And sometimes we have to fight the good fight and know that maybe what we're thinking is right. And I would definitely tell her to just believe in herself a little bit more.
There are going to be people out there who critique you, who criticize you, who tell you that you're doing stuff wrong or that you have to change the way that you're doing things. It's important that you listen to yourself because you know what you're doing best.
Absolutely. And you know what? The mistakes. And if you do make a mistake, I love to talk about that. People are like, what about the mistakes? What about when you do something wrong? It happens. I mean, how many mistakes do we make to make something right? I think actually the mistakes are what end up being the things that make you the most successful because you learn. Without a mistake, you can never learn.
Well, partly goes into the adversity. You learn from it, and
Absolutely.
you just grow wiser from it. So
yeah, beautiful.
Mistakes are. I still think that sometimes making a mistake is embarrassing, and I have to remind myself. My mom has to remind myself that everyone makes mistakes, and that's how you learn. You will never grow as a person if you never make mistakes.
Yeah, and it hurts sometimes, and you definitely regret it or go through those moments. You're like, oh, and that's where you shake it off, and that's where mindfulness comes into. You've got to let it go through. I mean, I struggle with it, and I have to form that thing in my head to just let it move forward. And some people can shake it off easier.
Yeah,
some people can't.
It happens. You learn from it, and eventually you'll let it go.
Absolutely.
It's with everything.
Very cool.
Well, do you want to maybe add anything else before we wrap up?
I just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job, and
I
appreciate you having me on. And I just love what you're doing. So keep up the good fight.
Thanks so much for joining me. This is an episode that I've never really talked to an author before, so it really is something that's cool. And I like expanding who I talk to and my guests. So it's really awesome.
And you know what? Maybe I'll motivate you to write your own children's book.
Actually, I was in the middle of writing a novel. In 8th grade, I was 13. I remember sitting down with my English teacher about my whole cancer journey. I think I have about 15 pages written. I haven't touched it in years. But maybe that's something
decide to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really cathartic and therapeutic. I think creating my characters were what helped me get through whatever I was going through. And I think if writing that story could also motivate a lot of kids, and you are a strong presence for them. So don't
I
stop.
appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Very
And
cool.
thinking back to when I was in 8th grade, I kind of hit a roadblock. That's kind of what made me stop. I didn't really remember everything, but as I've talked about it more and I've embraced what my past has been, from growing from cancer and losing my leg and realizing that that's part of who I am. That's not who I am, but that's part of who I am. I think all those memories, and some of them aren't the best, but they're coming back to me, and I think that's important, and I do need to be able to get that down on paper. Not only
Yeah,
for the people out there, but for myself.
absolutely. Once you put it down, it actually releases a lot out of your head. And then you have it documented, and it's kind of that thing that if you want to go back to it, you can. And if
Yeah.
you don't, then you keep it in your book, is like kind of like getting it from here to there.
Journaling, I mean,
Yeah.
talking, they're all great ways to release emotions, as I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah.
So keep
It's
doing
really
it.
important. Very cool.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining me, Andy. This has really been great. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Stay warm. And if you
You as well.
have any questions, let me know.
All right, yeah, thank you so much. You have a good one.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
What an inspiring conversation. A huge thank you to Andi Green for reminding us that emotions aren't obstacles, they're guides. Through the WorryWoo Monsters, she's helping children build emotional strength, empathy, and self-acceptance from the very beginning. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with a parent, educator, or anyone who believes in raising emotionally resilient kids. And don't forget to subscribe to the Motivational Mic so you never miss a story that moves you forward. Until next time, keep growing, keep feeling, and keep showing up. Thank you for listening, and see you next time on the Motivational Mic. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review. Together, we can spread positivity and make a difference. Join me next time for more incredible stories and insights. Until then, stay motivated and keep pushing forward. Thank you for listening, and see you next time on the Motivational Mic.